But he's also getting his own mineral only, so he's trying to catch up to Bisu. Economically, he has been a little bit behind. He didn't go for that fast expo as Bisu did. Bisu managed to defend it pretty well, so overall it didn't hurt economically too badly. But has some CJs in the whole position now. Bisu has observers all around, though, spotting everything. Spotting the position. Scans are coming off, though, so some of these observers are dying. I said, though, too many times there. I apologize for that. But yeah, there's a dead observer, but I still believe Bisu has a few out there. I think Bisu at this point needs to start thinking about, you know, how he's going to start churning out an army, what tech he's going to go for. He has, I think, a 6th star gateway working on. Do see that Stargate out there, so I assume he has an Arbor Tribunal out there already. And Bisu with his Arbor play really deadly. I remember back last season when Bisu started going for some heavy carrier play, which is one of the reasons I believe he got knocked out of the MSL. Went for heavy carrier play against Terrans in the MSL, I believe against C, and just got knocked out. Really did not. Bisu's carrier play is not. It's not Stork's carrier play. Stork's carrier play is amazing. It's awesome. It's oh my god. You know, that's what you say when you see Stork's carrier micro and see Stork playing carriers. Bisu's is not like that. I'm not saying he's bad with carriers. I'm just saying he's much better with arbiters. So stick with what you know better. This has historically been Bisu's worst matchup, although I'm definitely not saying that he's bad versus Terran. It's just his worst matchup. Everybody has a worst matchup. Even Jaedong has a worst matchup. But his worst matchup is still better than many other people's best matchups. So, you know. But even a player at the level of Bisu will have some weaknesses against somebody. And I do believe this is actually ForGG's worst matchup as well. And especially in that kind of position when it's your worst matchup, ForGG's that type of player to try to go for those time attacks, try to catch his opponent off guard, try to be smarter than your opponent. Now, but when your opponent has everything covered, when your opponent is expecting to try to that you try to outsmart, try to outflank him, try to outmaneuver him in some interesting ways, he's gonna expect that, and he's gonna try to prepare for that beforehand to make sure that, you know, if he possibly could walk into some sort of trap, that it ends up not being a trap. But so far, players actually fairly even. Both players on exactly the same amount of bases. Bisu's just clearing out a few mines, has observers out there, has some fairly large Dragoon groups, but also has a bunch of zealots to back him up, so I believe his arbors are going to come heavily into play. On the opposite side, we do see that ForGG's putting down a lot of factories, planting down some mines here and there. I think he should have some turrets out there as well soon to start preparing himself against arbor attacks. Seems like Bisu has a pylon there at the 12. That's a base with that minerals on 2 sides and that 1 gas. Interesting place for that pylon. I'm actually quite sure if you actually can plant a nexus on just below there. We're going to see how that goes. But Bisu now moving out with a fairly large force, a lot of zealots, a lot of goons, has a shuttle in there as well, might have a reaver. Arbor is going to be big, and ForGG wants to start expanding, I think, to the south as the commands are building, but it seems like Bisu is going to want to engage before any of that happens. Mine's going to be planted by these vultures. ForGG desperately trying to get himself in position. Zealots trying to find open position. Just can run into these. Nice stasis here at the back on some of those tanks. Some of these Zealots going to be able to run in fairly close. A lot of them going to die right away. The Dragoons are going to have an open field to try to get close enough. Dragoons also coming from the north. Try to outflank a little bit. ForGG's somewhat out of position, although Bisu is still losing a lot of his Dragoons. Don't see his Arbor anymore. Might have lost that. Some more Zealot reinforcements running in, trying to get him across. I think ForGG might actually get pushed completely. Bisu has already forced to float off that mineral only. Now he's just going to be forcing even more Zealots in just across the bridges. That one of the stasis being a big help in that. And unfortunately, ForGG with no auxiliary forces. And those tanks just going to get surrounded, killed as soon as they come out of stasis. Some of these Zealots are going to try to get in close. Some Vultures and Goliaths there inside the main going to try to come in close, but still Bisu sending in more reinforcements, Arbiters and Zealots running in, has observers in their tanks finally out of that stasis. Bisu losing some of his forces, most of the forces that are already inside here to those tanks as they unstasis, although the last tank is going to go down before the Zealots go down. More Zealots reinforcements coming in with their Arbiter support. Don't see any goons simply because they're just not fast enough. Zealots trying desperately come in and do a little bit of extra damage before they get killed off. But Bisu utilizing this position to pick up the 12 o'clock position for himself as a mining base. ForGG also going to pick up the 6 o'clock position for himself right now as he reestablishes his mineral only. Just needs to start getting it mining again. But overall, nice play from Bisu. Nice big attack. Lost pretty much all of his forces that he sent into that and funneled into it. But he's been replacing them, and I really don't think he's going to be in too much trouble. Has an Arbiter, has Dragoons to help him out. pumping out some more Dragoons, should be pumping out some more troops, pumping out additional gateways as well, and should have a fairly strong economy. Has a 12 o'clock base. Also, some nice pylon walls here to make sure that vultures can't just straight up run into the 12 o'clock position, because it does have 2 entrances, an entrance from each base at the upper right corner. So really like how a lot of maps these days seem to have this style where they have a bunch of bases have multiple entrances, and that can make for some very interesting play overall in how maps work and how you fight over particular bases. Bisu trying to engage here close to this high ground. A lot of tanks there, a lot of Dragoon blood, as you can see, and I think Dragoons are going to get mostly mopped up. And that might give ForGG a chance to get into the 12 o'clock position. Bisu going to pull out with the last of his goons here, only 2 of them left alive. Might manage to just barely pick off this vulture before that happens. But one of the pylons finally going to go down. I think ForGG soon enough picking off the Dragoons throughout the lower ground. Bisu does have reinforcements coming in with Zealots and Dragoons, so I think he actually should be able to clear this out fairly convincingly. Going to force ForGG to run back. Some of the Zealots trying to get some nice mine drags going. Some of them get some decent mine drags, killing some of those tanks as they retreat, and overall going to be able to clear up the position, make sure that his economy stays safe. Just needs to plant up one more pylon, and he's kind of in the safe position, fairly good overall. We see KT teammates, ForGG's teammates, sitting there and watching his going as it just now establishes his 6 o'clock position, is try to get his mining up. But overall, his attacks just haven't been too successful. Seems he has some forces on the left side there, a bunch of vultures. They're not really finding places to put down bases. While Bisu actually going to plop down the 9 o'clock position, pick up an additional gas, pick up some more resources for himself, and that's fairly smart. Just try to completely out-expand ForGG at this point, stay at least 1 base ahead at all times. If ForGG expanding, he should be expanding. If ForGG is not expanding, he should be expanding basically, and try to be aggressive. And I really like this. Bisu just has these little skeleton crews, Zealots, Dragoons, and Arbiter just to help him out, going out to try to do a little bit of damage. No damage can be done. Okay, fine. I'm just going to move out, have an observer as well, just in case those mines come in, just so he can pick them off with his Dragoons. Try to reinforce it a little bit more, and just try to at all times keep pressure on his opponent. Try to keep pressure at all times. That's what I just said, actually. And win that way. ForGG is still, of course, planning down mines all over the place. Bisu is just going to start planning down cannons here at the 9 o'clock position, just once the vultures decide, hey, wait a minute, we don't want this to happen. He's going to be, those cannons at least are going to be able to help out against that. So Bisu, really at this point in the game, a Protoss player does not want to have to worry about playing defensively. A Protoss player wants to make sure that the Terran player has to worry about playing defensively, because at least the Protoss player has some half-decent static defenses if he can put up to assist himself. See, you don't want to be doing this all day, because a good Terran player, even a Terran player like ForGG, if he gets those openings, he would just get in with those vultures, plant down a bunch of mines, put down pressure, start killing probes, and force half the army, if not the entire army, just run back home and clear it up before they can go around, be aggressive again. And those are just the little openings that Terran player needs. Get his tank number up, get his support number up. I still haven't seen a single science vessel out there for ForGG, and I think that's a silly mistake for him, really. He's had a Stargate for a large part of this map, this game, and I still haven't seen one single science vessel out for him. With all these Arbiters out there, you just will need those EMPs, because these Arbiters just going to be able to fire stasis here and there at any time. Now Bisu seems like he's going to want to go for another big push here into this attack, into this secondary here, that mineral only, that 6 o'clock position, all very vulnerable also. Has those stasis coming off, still losing some of his forces, but not nearly enough in the way of defense for ForGG. And I actually think we might be coming close to a GG at this point. ForGG just doesn't seem to have enough forces to defend at all times. He's always losing forces, and Bisu just has reinforcements treating at all times, bunches out to help out. He's keeping his Dragoons alive, he's keeping his Arbiters alive. That secondary command center, the second is going to go down. ForGG's not even going to repair it. That natural expansion might go down here as well. ForGG has a few tanks here at the high ground, but I don't think they're going to be able to defend for too long. One scan goes off, but that's not going to be... It's not going to be enough to save him. I think more Zealot reinforcements running in, bunch of more reinforcements streaming in. Beautiful stasis. That actually walls Bisu up, but I just don't think Bisu is trying to actually get up there. I'm just trying to harass. He's going to go and focus off this 6 o'clock position. I think should be his target. That should be his target. The main and the natural. At this point, you don't need to go for the production. If you want to go for production, you could go for a recall. But here, just go for the economy. The Arbiter's going to go down. But just go for the economy. Cripple ForGG completely. The commands are going to be forced to float. That's very little mining for ForGG. He has a little bit left in his natural expansion. But not much at all in the way of economy. While Bisu is booming. He hasn't been harassed at all. Pretty much this entire game since that early push for ForGG, where Bisu had to pull his probes up. But now for a long time, he's not been harassed at all. Bisu's not going to be able to get up this ramp, I think, anytime soon. But just the longer the game goes at this point, the less, the more confident Bisu's going to be over his victory. The more assured Bisu's victory is going to be, because really he has that 6, he has that 9. They're all fully mining. He still has his secondary with min only. His main and natural might not be too strong in mining, but he still has enough resources. He even has enough resources to expand any point he wants. And the problem is for ForGG is that ForGG is not going to be able to do anything about Bisu expanding at this point. He's just not going to have the resources, not going to have anything to do so. And Bisu throwing in a little humiliation in there, a stasis on the SCVs. And the problem for GG at this point is that actually does something. So yeah, GG. When a stasis on your SCVs, yeah, that's mine. That's not happening. A little bit of minerals that you're not getting. It is a bit of a humiliation move, though. So Bisu brings T1 a little bit further away from death. Gonna rub his eyes like, guys, I'm tired. Come on, let me go home. I need to take a nap so I can continue practicing. So yeah, T1 still, these two teams, really interesting to see how they're pretty much on the short list to the grand finals yet again. But we're going to see how it goes. Upsets are also a possibility. And Bisu just coughed there. And I think a third of the fangirls just had heart attacks of their own when that happened. Anyway, GG guys, Ranching out, assisting. Hope you enjoyed. Bringing the 6th set next.